Welcome back to the Ellis Martin Report on Money Talk Radio. I'm Ellis Martin. Today I'm joined by Don Currie, CEO of Hillcrest Energy Technologies, a power conversion company trading in Canada on the CSE under the symbol HEAT and in the United States on the OTC markets as HLRTF. Hillcrest is a first mover in ultra-high efficiency, zero-voltage switching technology, with third-party testing showing efficiencies as high as 99.7% and dramatically reduced electromagnetic interference. These are performance gains with real implications for AI data centers, grid infrastructure, energy storage, and electric vehicles. At current price levels, Hillcrest represents a compelling technology story for investors focused on efficiency, electrification, and next-generation power systems. Don, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you once again.
If you don't mind, give us an overview of Hillcrest Energy Technologies.
We're a power conversion company is the best way to explain it. We are first mover status, have the world's only zero voltage switching technology at the power levels that we're working towards. It's something that has massive application. We're really excited about it, and we're looking to deploy that over the next little bit.
Explain your grid power conversion system and how that overall saves energy.
The number one issue in any sort of electrification field is efficiency. Efficiency means so much. It either saves money or creates additional revenues. It causes positive events to occur. Our technology is the highest efficiency power conversion that we're aware of. So we have shown in demonstrations as high as 99.7% efficiency and a very low electrical magnetic interference. Now, electrical magnetic interference and efficiency do not come parallel together until we develop the zero voltage switching. So what I can say is our efficiency is high enough that it's as high as 3% more efficient than what's out there currently. To put that in perspective, that creates approximately an estimated $375,000 of extra revenue for a 100,000 square foot AI data center, for instance. Not only is efficiency a key component, but electrical magnetic interference is a real problem in any electrical field. And that is basically, for people my age or people that will understand it, that's static. That is a radioactive static that comes off of hard switching inverters. Our inverter has shown in third-party studies to reduce the EMI to a substantial level whereby protective coating, protective shielding may not be needed. So there's less cost because this EMI is not as pronounced. So our system that we're aware of is the one where we don't have to worry about the trade-off of having high efficiency with higher EMI. We actually have high efficiency and lower EMI in the same system.
Don, to take this a little bit further, is there any efficiency that can be added at the application level that we haven't talked about?
The efficiency itself has a direct relationship to the overall system. So a power conversion, when you talk about an inverter or a power conversion system, it's taking direct current, say from a solar panel or from an application, and taking it to the grid as alternating current. That transfer of power going from DC to AC, AC to DC, there is an efficiency that's required in there. Current technology can have losses as much as 30%. That costs money. Now, because our zero voltage switching technology is very, very, very efficient and is a smooth sine wave as it goes along, it has further benefits, financial benefits to the overall system. You need less shielding. You need less filters, smaller filters, inductors. So not only is it efficient at the power conversion part, but it has additional benefits to the overall system of which the power conversion is part of.
Now, you're reporting with regard to the zero voltage switching technology, or ZVS, you're reporting 99.7% peak efficiency in an industry where people fight for 0.5%. Now, how does Hillcrest maintain this lead as competitors try to catch up with their own silicon carbide iterations?
Maintaining it is quite easy because no one else, again, we're aware of, has zero voltage switching technology. The 99.7% efficiency, we're happy to say, was obtained in other people's labs. It was done through demonstrations where people put it on their test bench and got to 99.7 on numerous occasions. We had been at 99.4, 99.5, and that was good. As far as people matching that, there are groups that will claim that they have efficiencies in the 99% range, but because of the hard switching, they have EMI issues. The other thing, too, with the zero voltage switching, it's switching in a de-energized state is the best way to put it. And it's a constant efficiency. we have higher switching frequencies, and we do not have switching losses. Without the switching losses, and that's where problems occur with other systems, it's a constant signal, and therefore you don't have to protect against the losses.
In your literature, Don, you are reporting a $2,200 savings for EVs. How does that work out? I've been driving an EV for 5 years. Are you going to be refitting these charging stations? Are these on new cars?
Actually, we've reduced that number to 1,400 now just because of new technologies that do exist outside of the conversion. So because, again, high efficiency, a perfect signal that goes on there. The savings in the car represent majority of that is smaller batteries required for the same output. So car manufacturers right now, their biggest issue is the size of the batteries, the cost of the batteries, and the batteries themselves are coming down in cost. It's an issue. We're estimating you can use 10 to 15% less battery size using our technology. So out of the $1,400 savings, it's mostly battery. On top of that, what we didn't know until we started testing is because we have lower EMI, that's something that the car manufacturers were looking for. They spend anywhere from $200 to $400 on shielding around cables and around the battery box that they don't need if the EMI is not at a certain level, because the EMI causes damage over time. So one of the European automotive manufacturers took our technology to a certified third-party lab and had it tested, and it met the threshold whereby they would not require shielding around the cables and the battery box. So there's $200 to $400 per car. Does that sound like much? Well, if they're doing 100,000 of a model per year, that's $140 million that they don't have to spend.
All right, that's got to be Mercedes, right?
We can't say who it is because we're under confidentiality, but I can say that there's probably no large European premium automobile maker that we have not had contact with or haven't done some demonstrations with.
I was going to ask you about conversations with the automakers and end users. That's the real story here, and I guess you're having them, aren't you?
I'm going to say something here which will change it. We have had huge success with the automotive makers as far as demonstrations and testing. In each and every case, in any test we did, and we've done it with very well-known European sports cars, Formula E, Formula One, as well as very well-known European automotive makers, domestic automotive manufacturers. The problem with that is automotive industry moves slow and is subject to sales figures, market figures, and so on and so forth. So while they know that they're moving forward and they want to do certain things, at this point in time, a lot of them are paralyzed as far as how far they can move and how fast they can move. The beauty of our technology is that it's agnostic to the actual application. And so while we were moving forward with automotive, we have advanced quite substantially on the stationary or grid applications because they're not paralyzed by sales figures or what the market trends are. They're literally motivated by new technologies that add to efficiency and create longevity. So we're probably more focused on that while we wait for the automotive sector or EV sector to catch up and start to move forward.
So the biggest story right now is the grid. In that light, you are going to be demonstrating in Q2 of this year the 200 kilowatt grid PCS prototype. What specific commercial milestones or handshakes are you looking to secure immediately following that demonstration, Don?
Discussions have already started. We have a number of groups that we're focused on that are talking to us that are involved in AI data centers, energy storage, battery storage. There's a number of different sectors that the technology would be applicable to. We can do simulations now. Now, we do have some credibility already that we have the commercial prototype for the traction inverter, the EV inverter. And a lot of that, the zero voltage switching comes on, it just moves over to the grid. The grid has certain hardware applications that are different than what an EV inverter would have. The power conversion system would have some different hardware applications. We can demonstrate that through simulations now. By the time we get to the commercial prototype in Q2, as you mentioned, now we're going to have a commercial prototype that can be demonstrated on test benches and has much more ability. It will be a 200 kilowatt and it can go up to 240, it can go down to 100, whatever they want, but 1,000 volts. So a 200 kilowatt, 1,000 volt application system. You'd consider that to be an A sample. At that point in time, interested parties, interested groups, depending on the sector that they're in, would want to move forward with a B sample. Should they want to move forward with a B sample, then it becomes much more application specific. The B sample would be moving towards a certification for an AI data center, for instance, or for energy storage or battery storage. There are slight different hardware applications that would apply to that.
Any of those hardware applications include 5-minute charging instead of the hour I've got to put up with right now for my car?
Well, higher efficiency means it happens quicker. So at any level, I think charging's time is decreasing quite a bit. Yes, we would have an effect on that.
Don, let's talk about Canada. You're promoting your company as a Made in Canada producer. Explain your relationship with the Pasqua First Nation partnership.
We're very excited about this. This started in the summer of 2025, and we've moved very, very quickly with it. Pasqua First Nations is a Saskatchewan-based First Nation. They are involved in the energy space. They have a group called Pasqua First Nations Group of Companies. They own metal manufacturing plants. They own part of an electrification company in Quebec. They are part of a 250 megawatt wind farm that is about to be under construction in Saskatchewan, and they are pursuing other solar and wind opportunities with other First Nations groups in Alberta and Saskatchewan. They were introduced to us. We started talking to them. They became an investor in Hillcrest. They invested heavily. They are currently identified as 18.1% holders of Hillcrest stock. And with them, we then went to the federal and provincial governments in Saskatchewan and in Canada, met with them in Ottawa and in Saskatchewan, talking about our joint objective of developing the technology and applying it to Canadian or local provincial needs. We're being very well received. The federal government particularly is liking the idea of the made in Canada, manufactured in Canada, because we will do that. It is likely that the Pasqua First Nations manufacturing facility in Saskatchewan will be heavily involved in the manufacture and or assembly of the product. So there's many levels involved, but by aligning ourselves with them, they see the value in the technology and how we can jointly move forward in putting that into applications, A, that they're involved in, and B, that we can jointly find.
As you know, this program is heard all over the U.S. as well. Any plans for a twin manufacturing plant down here?
Yes, we've already started discussions. It's important to understand that there are manufacturing needs will be as close to the customer as possible. You don't want to really be delivering these things and paying for freight. They're 30 pounds, 35 pounds, sometimes less, sometimes more. Your manufacturing is going to be closer to the customer. And I think in this current world climate, it makes sense to have manufacturing in different areas. For instance, if we were automotive manufacturing, we've already accessed or have availability for that in Europe for the automotive manufacturer, should that start moving forward. In the United States, we have started discussion through some connections we have with our other partners, Apeiron Resources, which is an indigenous-owned company out of Alberta that has very close, substantial ties to the United States and has opened up some doors to us there. So the plan does include operations and potential projects in the United States as well as Canada.
Well, I look forward to hearing about that in the future. Don, what's the opportunity for the retail investor that's listening to the program that might want to add Hillcrest to their portfolio?
Well, we're excited about it for the simple reason that we have something no one else in the world has that we're aware of, and it has an application. The inverter industry is growing at a rate of 19% per year and is estimated to be about $209 billion by 2032. So there is a need for inverter technology. We have the most efficient that we're aware of. It's demonstrating and testing. It's meeting or exceeding expectations every time it's tested. There's no shortage of potential customers out there. So from that end of it, we have built a base. We've built a technology that the world seems to want and has wanted to perfect it themselves. We cracked the code. And it's about developing the technology now to get it to a certified product so that these companies will be using it. I would expect over the next short while, our objective is to find those sort of companies that are prepared to get into project development deals with us that say, we will work with you while this product gets certified for our application processes. So we have a base, we have a technology, we have a great team. We're strong on both sides of the border, both in Canada and the US, as well as in Germany. We have a partnership with a group in Germany that's opened up many, many doors for us. And I think the upside is quite substantial. We're lucky enough to have a technology that is not dependent on one sector or industry. The automotive industry, we're well known. We're waiting for people to be able to come out of the fog, so to speak, of the sales cycle and the dip in EV manufacturing. The electrification industry with AI data centers, energy management, and so on, is very, very, very appealing to us. So we're trying to make sure that the public understands our focus is on bringing the first commercial contract that we can, which comes through development, regardless of the sector. We have the opportunity to be involved in anything electrification, which is not always the case with other technologies. So we have the benefit and the possibility to create value across the sector, and that's what we're trying to do.
How are you protecting your IP? It's a fair question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. We're asked that all the time. We have some very good advisors that come along with legal assistance. So advisors that have been through this before. We have a very robust IP portfolio that's growing. Our law firm in Canada has been submitting the provisional patent application both in Canada and in 5 other worldwide jurisdictions, so we're protecting it there. We've also been introduced and are retaining an IP strategist, for lack of a better word, down in the United States that has experience on both sides of the aisle, both defending patents and attacking patents. And so by reaching out to the people we've had involved in the company or advising the company, we're very confident that our legal firm, as well as the IP strategists that we've got in, are protecting and helping us going forward.
Don, tell me about your team. What's your background?
My background was, previous to this, oil and gas and some mining. And we did a transition in 2019 to say we needed to get into clean tech, clean energy, because we're not getting to the levels we wanted to in the oil and gas. It was the best decision we ever made. I am not a technical person, but I think what myself and some of the other people in the company did well is that we surrounded ourselves by people that are very savvy in the electrical industry. We brought in board members such as Michael Moskowitz, who was formerly chairman and CEO of Panasonic North America. We brought in Dan Coker, who had built 2 $1 billion automotive component companies and had a very good connection. Dr. Burkhoff in Germany, who was a senior manager of Mercedes, Daimler Chrysler at the time, and part of the team that started the EV division within Mercedes. We brought in people that could open doors that Don Currie couldn't. And then on the technical side, on the electrical side, we've been bringing in people that have 20 years experience. Our VP technical right now, Emmanuel Serban, 20 years work with Schneider Electrical. We have real competence and ability that comes with success with our team. They've made it very exciting and interesting for me.
Don, I've really enjoyed my time with you today. I look forward to our next conversation in the very near future. Thank you so much for joining us on the Ellis Martin Report.
Thank you once again for the opportunity.
That was Don Currie, CEO of Hillcrest Energy Technologies, trading on the CSE as HEAT, Heat, and in the U.S. on the OTC markets as HLRTF. With demonstrated efficiency gains, broad applicability across grid and electrification markets, and upcoming commercial-scale demonstrations, Hillcrest is a company investors may want to keep on their radar, particularly at current valuation levels. To learn more, visit hillcrestenergy.tech. I'm Ellis Martin, and this has been the Ellis Martin Report on Money Talk Radio. Thanks for listening. The Ellis Martin Report was compensated by Hillcrest Energy Technologies for this interview. Listeners should consider investing only at their own risk and conduct their own due diligence.